It's your girl, Professor Cinephile. I don't even know why I'm here because okay, let's just get into it. Today, we are going to talk about Lee Daniels' newest film, Deliverance, or The Deliverance. Doesn't matter. Um, I guess you can already tell. I just, okay. So let's be nice, right? We'll be nice. The film stars Monique, the comedian. This is the first time her and Lee Daniels are reunite. No, they actually worked together on that other film that I didn't like. Okay, I see a pattern. Okay, so anyway, Monique and Lee Daniels are back together again. If you don't know, they had a really huge beef after Precious because he was asking her to do a global press tour that she said was not part of her contract and she wanted to spend time with her family. And he ended up like blackballing her, and then Tyler Perry got involved. It's a whole thing. You can watch her interview on with Shannon Sharp on Club Shay Shay to get more information. Plus, she always talks about this, so it's not hard to figure it out. Anyway, they're reunited. Andra Day is also in this film. He directed her in the film Billie Holiday. I believe she was nominated for an Academy Award. Monique won an Academy Award for her role. Uh, Aunjanue Ellis is in it, Academy Award nominee. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful actress. Like, love her to death. Like, she's amazing, amazing, amazing. Glenn Close can't get any better than Glenn Close. Like Glenn Close is iconic, right? Like Fatal Attraction. I mean, what that woman was doing and what she has done in her career has just been amazing, right? So we love her. I want better for Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor. I love her. Gosh, I think she's one of the greatest actresses of our time. I don't know what she was doing here. I mean, it's work, right? I mean, a lot of people with the way the strike was happening, a lot of people were struggling, and there's money to be made, and I get it. And every actor and actress, is going to have those films where it's just like, what were you thinking? This is mine for Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor right now. She has a great film. I did a review of it, The Supremes at Earl's All You Can Eat. That's great. We'll stick with that. We'll ignore that she was in this film. Actually, I hope no one mentions it again because she doesn't need this blemish. You know how you work that one job or you went to that one school or did something and you don't put it on your resume because you look back and you're like, ooh, I don't know what I was thinking there. You don't want it to hurt you going forward. This is that film for Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor. And it's okay. We're still going to ride with her because she is still amazing. Absolutely contributed nothing to this film. I even want to do like a synopsis thing because, Lee Daniels is not known for making good films, right? Precious was not a good film. Monique was excellent in Precious. Gabby was excellent in Precious, but Precious actually just wasn't a good film. Still don't understand what Mariah Carey was doing there. The Billie Holiday film, I thought Andra was great. The film itself was not great, right? So he is good at bringing out really great performances from people, but he just doesn't make good films. And part of it is because I don't think he's all right in his spirit. There's something going on with him. And the reason why I say that is because he really enjoys stories where women, and especially Black mothers, are abusive. And you all know that, like, that's my thing. And this particular story did not need to have anything about like a woman being, addicted to alcohol, having gone to jail, being so-called abusive towards her children, because that's not part of the original story. So he adds this in, and I don't know what for. It doesn't add anything to the story. I actually would have enjoyed it better if she was just the average mom trying to just do the best for her kids, right? The other thing that he changes is that her mother was African American. He makes the mother white. And he said it's because he has a lot of biracial friends and he wanted to tell a story about being a Black woman with a white mom and being in a Black woman's body. You are an African American man, okay? You do not need to be telling that story, right? And again, you guys know I'm really kind of like in the space of I don't like the way, unfortunately, most Black male filmmakers tell Black women's stories. Okay. They're not getting it because they're not us, right? And so I don't like when he dips into it, particularly because he almost has like this erotic sadism thing going on where he just like very not unlike Tyler Perry, right? Tyler Perry likes seeing Black women be punished like severely in all of his films. Lee Daniels kind of recreates them as abusers. And it makes me wonder what happened in his own life. I'm not going to speculate, but I'm just going to say I think the brother might have been touched a little bit too hard and is maybe still struggling with that. And then there's some other really talented folks in this film. That might be all I got. Okay, so it is a horror film. It is that tells the true story of Latoya Ammons, who is a Black woman who, about a little over a decade ago, had some kind of supernatural experiences in her home that her children were being affected by. She, said that they were possessed by demons, and there was a lot of things that were happening with the children that just didn't make sense. And she wasn't the only one to see it. They were doctors, there were, religious folks. They also, experienced some of the same things, and none of it could be explained. However, the system decided that she was, abusive towards her children, and they took the children from her and all the stuff. If you're a spiritual person, you'll believe that there was, some kind of demonic presence in the house that they were renting, because once they left the house, they were okay. So he's basing it loosely on this story. And I'm saying loosely because I'm saying that he maybe glanced at an article about it and then wrote a whole different film. Okay. So that's something to keep in mind. This was not Andra Day's best performance. I mean, we know her as a singer, the Billie Holiday show that she had potential. I don't think it was her best performance because I don't think she had really good material to work with. A lot of her like cursing and interactions with the children and with other people just didn't come off as authentic. It didn't seem like she had any real connection to what it's like to grow up and in these kinds of, distressed neighborhoods and be a single mom and all those kinds of things. She had been in jail and stuff. I don't know what kind of research she did for the job for this particular role, but I did not get the sense that she has any real connection and understanding of what this woman's life might have been like. And it's just not convincing. There's many moments in the film where I'm just like, do you know who you're supposed to be? Right? I thought Monique was great. Monique knows her lanes. Let me tell you something. When Monique, kind of zeroes in on what her role is supposed to be, she does it. She had a smaller role in this film. She plays one of the Child Protective Services social workers. She's someone who had lost her own child, and so she was very like big on advocating for kids. And she really treats the main character, Andra Day's character is named Ebony. She treats Ebony like she's, this pariah, like she doesn't deserve her children. And then eventually she becomes convinced because she sees things, she sees the son going through some stuff herself, and she's like, oh, maybe I was wrong. And I think right there, we can pause because I think that he's trying to make some commentary about Child Protective Services, but he doesn't flesh it out. And I think this was a really great moment or opportunity to kind of dig into how Child Protective Services treats Black mothers and how, it's set up to remove children from their homes, put them into foster care, funnel them in that foster care to prison pipeline or that foster care to low wage worker pipeline. There could have been a little more discussion about that, but he did not go into the nuances of that. And I would have appreciated that more than most of what else is in this film, right? Okay. So then there's another element to the story which does not get really fleshed out as much as it could have been. You don't know why Ebony hates her mother. Her mother is Glenn Close, by the way. You don't know why she hates her mother. There's kind of suggestions and hints, but you don't really understand why her now like super Christian mom, is somebody that she hates so much. First of all, why are they talking to each other, calling each other every kind of bitch and all kind of, derogatory words for sex workers and things like who why are they talking to each other like this? And the woman lives in a house. Like, I don't understand. And Ebony talks to her daughter like this. Like, everybody's talking to each other like they don't know each other. We end up learning that her mother was abusive towards her when she was a child, and there was sexual trauma involved, and she was like basically trafficking her own daughter, who grew up to become a criminal and all this other stuff that has nothing to do with this story that's being told. Lee Daniels and Tyler Perry have this obsession with making Black women seem like the angriest, nastiest people in the world. And I want them to get healing, and I want them to let that shit go. Let it go. Turn it loose and find some Jesus or something, because you're carrying too much into your films, and it is incredibly annoying. Lee Daniels wants us to believe that Glenn Close, her character, who is like has cancer or is getting cancer treatment or dialysis or something like that. I don't remember if it was clear. I checked out a couple of times. That she's gonna bag someone like Omar Epps. I don't understand what was the point. First of all, why was Omar Epps there? He plays like a guy that was working at the hospital, and then he hits on her and they go out on a date and they end up dating. You have to suspend a lot of disbelief to enjoy this film. Enjoy is doing some heavy lifting here, okay? There's a scene, and people are talking about it, where Glenn Close's character is possessed by a demon, and she's laying there, and well, I'm just gonna show it.
Apostle James is here tonight.
I can smell your nappy pussy.
Okay, so why? 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 I watch Lee Daniel films sometimes. I'm just like, why did you make this choice? Why did you do that? Does nothing, adds nothing. If anything, it makes you look buffoonish, and you look completely unserious. Like, we cannot take you as a serious filmmaker, yet people keep throwing money at you, and I don't quite understand it. My biggest issue with this film is just that it is poorly written, right? And I don't like that this woman's story, this family's story, got treated like this, right? Black people do not make the news often when it comes to things, unless it's like some kind of crime or some kind of negativity, or we've had some Black excellence achievement. There are other stories to be told. And so the fact that anybody even reported, the Indie Star reported on this, is remarkable in itself. We're talking like supernatural occurrences that require people to have a certain faith in certain things. There was so much to explore in that, and they didn't do it. And I just felt like the Ammons family deserved more than this. And the way he was kind of casual, like I read an article where it was like an interview with him, and the way he was kind of flippant, like he's like, yeah, I talked to her a couple of times in the beginning, but I didn't really want to like meet her because I was nervous or whatever. This is this woman's story. Her and her family went through hell. From everything that I read about their story, they went through hell, and they deserve to have their story told well, right? If people can put out the Conjuring series and totally like divorce us from the reality of what happened there with those scammers, but at least make for compelling films, Lee Daniels could have done the same. And I know he had a budget. So what this leaves me to believe is that he's just not a good filmmaker, and he consistently makes films that are not good. And at some point, we have to accept and understand that he's not a good filmmaker, just like we have accepted that Tyler Perry is not a good filmmaker. T.D. Jakes is a better filmmaker than any of these people. Okay? My son probably makes better TikToks than Lee Daniels makes films. Some people are going to say I'm a hater. I'm not a hater. I'm just kind of tired of people who have this kind of access and clout going and making these really disjointed terrible films. Like, stop it. It's insulting, okay? Tasha Smith has a small role in it. She plays a pastor, and even she's like, ain't really much that I can do. So a very small role, inconsequential. I do like Tasha. I like her. Again, there was nothing really for her to do here. She was kind of a bit of a scene filler, and it wasn't, anything special. What I do like, and I'm gonna give him this, which is gonna explain the rating I give this. What I do like is because I'm obsessed with the occult horror films. Those are my favorite. Exorcism, Omen, Stigmata, all those kinds of. I love religious horror. I love all of that stuff. What I like is that he brought in the story of like Black religious kind of folks who do this kind of spiritualist work, right? Like kind of brings in hoodoo into this and really kind of a little bit taps into like the traditions that we have, that are not Catholic based and that are not coming from like this kind of white Eurocentric approach to religion, but rather a more cultural, like, kind of African centered, Afrocentric cultural grounding. And I like that because Aunjanue Ellis-Taylor comes in as this like spiritualist woman who definitely believes in Jesus, but she's got these other elements that she brings with her that kind of tap into our own spiritual traditions around this. And it does highlight that we have had people that have done these kinds of things. They call it a deliverance. She's like, it's not an exorcism. We call it a deliverance, right? I like that part. And I like that. I would have liked him to explore it a little more. I didn't read all the credits to see who the consultant was for that. But, I do like it that he tapped into that a little bit. That's really all I got. The effects were mid. There was one scene where Ebony is like fighting herself, and you don't know who it's supposed to be, Jesus versus the devil. It doesn't make sense for a while. Like my kid was like, "What's happening here?" I don't know. I don't know either. That was a really poorly like shot scene. The scene with Glenn Close in the bed being possessed, that was awful. I mean, there were just so many points where I feel like Lee Daniels just wanted the world to know that he's not a good filmmaker. And I think he was successful with that. I'm going to give this film 1.5 hearts. The half is because I'm happy for Monique and Lee Daniels getting over their stuff and working together again. The 1 star is for some of the cultural elements. That's it. I don't have anything else to offer you. Don't watch this film or watch it if it's playing in the background and you ain't got nothing else to do. I can't recommend this with any good conscience though. So appreciate you all for watching. Check you out. Check me out next time. Look, I can't even talk. Look at this. What? I'm gonna just go. Y'all be good.